the steps that it's taken, of the worlds that Hideo's been talking about, and seeing them come to life, and seeing the characters more fully formed, and even the fight sequences are just that one little snippet of fight like blew my mind, and I know there's so much more to come, but it's just a very special project to be a part of. This whole experience has been extremely cool and unlike anything I've ever been a part of before, so I'm happy to be a cog in the wheel of his genius mind.
I first met Hideo through Guillermo del Toro, and he called me and he said, "There's this guy who's gonna call you. Just say yes." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Norman, don't be an asshole. Just say yes." And I'm glad I did. But they're very similar in the way that they work, because they're super creative. With the ways that like children are creative, like everything's interesting, everything's more, and it's very inspiring to watch. They're very similar work ethics, I guess.
Well, it's actually very similar to Hideo. We've known each other for quite a number of years now, so we're actually very similar. We even look alike. Kind of.
I think we're all wearing the same glasses, aren't we?
And we're both married. We both have kids. We live probably pretty boring lives. So our creativities are kind of otherworldly.
I'm blown away, man. I mean, like, if Godfather is a great film, the first part, and when The Godfather 2 came, you never thought that after such a great film, you cannot make a better second part. And it was better, The Godfather 2. And I have the same impression with Death Stranding. I really love the first part of it, the first game. It's fantastic. But this is like Death Stranding 2 is like The Godfather Part 2. This will be better, even better.
Kojima's style breaks the barrier between cinema and games. In a way, he's a film director, but uses video games to tell the story. So he understands how much control he needs to yield to the player, when he needs to take it back, what is the barrier that exists tacitly between the viewer and the gamer and the characters. He breaks it with the Mantis, He can have the game talking to you and you go, what is happening?
Leia, do you have any other favorite moments off camera from spending time with Hideo and kind of, working with him on this project?
Our dinners with Hideo.
Yes.
Yeah. Because he knows I love sushi. So I had the best sushi with Hideo. No, really, and then we had like conversation about cinema, and because Hideo is
he likes his movies.
Yeah, he loves cinema, and he knows so much about cinema. So it's always so interesting. I mean, we had like so many conversations about cinema and the film directors that we love, and so that was really, I mean, I loved sharing this with him.
It's incredible how he comes up with things. Like I have always said, I'd love to have the opportunity to just get in his head for one day and see how all the cogs are turning and what happens, because some of the stuff he comes up with, I'm like, you have to really immerse yourself into the story. And as we know, Death Stranding is a complicated story. When you think about it, with all the characters and how they, how their relationships cross paths and all of that sort of stuff, their history, and it's so thorough. I mean, I feel like there's no stone unturned. If you want to know about a character, if it hasn't been revealed to you, believe me, it.
If you don't know, like I got my start, I thought I was going to make my dent in the world as a musician, and life went no. And instead, I've got this really cool other path for you to follow, and I'm grateful for that. And one of the things that I love most about working with Hideo is the fact that he looks at who we are as people and he infuses that into the character. And that is something that is such an honor, and I don't say that lightly, because it's so much fun just for someone to go, hey, I want you to sing, or I want you to create your music in this thing that you've always been passionate for. I'm going to make you do something you're not comfortable doing, but that becomes a part of the character. And so I'm grateful. He gave me a chance to sing. I did my best. I hope you guys like it, because definitely, as you've seen, the music, the bar for the music in this game is super high. So I'm just happy to try and vault over it.
First of all, I found myself very caught up in the experience of watching it. I began to think why it affected me. And I think, apart from the powerful visuals and so beautifully rendered, so at each moment I was kind of drawn into the screen, the content I found really, really interesting, mainly because there was so much contrast, and so for instance, you start off with a scene that is so small and detailed, and it's a hair coming out of an incision in the skin, but it's not an ordinary incision. It's an incision different than we've seen before. And then we see characters, and then we see the eyes of whoever was embedded in that tar open, and then we see down some sort of human canal, and we see a baby, and then we see a machine come out. So we're both invited into the very visceral, and at the same time, we're seeing things that can only come from the imagination.
He's a